Let us direct our thoughts to the source of all blessings as we come together to give thanks for our city and its peoples, the many cultures and traditions that mark the rhythm of Indianapolis.
As we envision the future of Indianapolis, let us dream. Let us dream us a city where the spirit of competition is matched by the spirit of justice, where education cultivates the urban heart and green spaces nurture the city's soul, where innovation and technology thrive in a city where the arts and sciences flourish.
Let us dream us a city where neither race, religion, nor gender are barriers to achievement, where Hoosier hospitality welcomes all, where our streets are safe from violence, where the private interest serves the public good.
Let us dream us a city where victory in sports is matched by triumphs of the human spirit, where financial capital is wedded to human capital, where those who are born and study here choose to stay here to raise their families, conduct their business, and create strong communities.
We give thanks and we pray for blessings upon our heartland and this city of Indianapolis, for our mayor, Joe Hogsett, Mrs. Hogsett and their family, for the mayor's deputies and staff, for our city council and elected officials, and for all who safeguard our laws, our security, and who labor for our welfare.
With strong leadership and people of vision to guide us, with the best of Hoosier values to anchor us, let us dream us a city. And then with singleness of purpose and courage of heart, let us build our name into Hoosier reality. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, would you please join me for a moment of silence? Thank you.
Please remain standing as we welcome to the stage the Indianapolis Children's Choir to perform our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Joe Hogsett.
Thank you. Good evening. They were poor. It's why they had to head west in the first place. Their tools weren't new. They were old and hard-worn. Tools that required strong hands and an exhausting effort. They were tired, cold, and on the harsh edge of the American frontier. In a brutal, unforgiving wilderness, they had only one thing they could rely on: each other. That was it. Their survival, their futures, mutually bound together. 200 years ago, a small group of people who had just fought a war for the very freedom to stand where they stood and think what they thought decided that they would create a city on the banks of a river. It was the essence of American audacity. They created Indianapolis, a city that today we call home. And it is precisely that uncommon togetherness, that extraordinary sense of unity that has carried our city forward. From economic engine to state capital, from center of early automotive invention to the greatest spectacle in racing, from the Pan American Games to a Super Bowl, from Unigov to the present day. That is the story of Indianapolis. In broad strokes, our home. Innovation and imagination, adversity and achievement. When confronted with a challenge, we do not ignore or hide from it. We address it together as one city. It is how we survived the economic upheaval that plagued our nation in 2008. And now Indianapolis is known across the country and throughout the world as the tech capital of the Midwest. In the last year alone, we created or retrained more than 11,000 jobs, lowering Marion County's unemployment rate to 3.2% and catalyzing more than $1.3 billion in capital investment. This includes the arrival of international powerhouse Infosys, the addition of Salesforce to our city's skyline, and a not-so-secret competition with more than a dozen other regions for Amazon's second headquarters. Many thought Indianapolis couldn't compete in that league, that Indianapolis was swinging above its weight. That's okay. That's okay. Many of the cities that said that or believed that are now sitting on the sidelines. Indianapolis is still in the game. We helped Rolls-Royce secure a $47 million contract to continue building turbo engines in our city. And we celebrated as FedEx announced a $1.5 billion investment in Indianapolis and in their hub here over the next 7 years. We are welcoming Duke Realty back to our city's north side and directly connecting our community to the world with the first transatlantic flight from Indianapolis International Airport. And just as the auto age led to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the bustling neighborhoods that surround it, our city's investment in areas like bioscience and advanced engineering has continued to fuel projects like 16 Tech. This 60-acre campus on our west side will be a hotbed for the solutions of tomorrow and will propel the surrounding neighborhoods around it to continued success for generations to come. And I'm pleased to report that those generations will be ready for that challenge because we've continued to strengthen our city's talent pipeline, primarily through Project Indy, which is set to employ thousands of our city's teens this year with meaningful summer jobs. With us today are a few of those young people who have begun their careers with Project Indy over the last 2 years. Would you all please stand and let's apply our good work to all of their efforts. Thank you. We owe it to these teens and thousands like them across Marion County to be doing everything we can to ensure invaluable job experience and a community that values equitable growth. And thanks to our corporate community, our small businesses, our nonprofits, and our own Parks Department, we're doing just that on projectindy.net. A small commercial. For our children and our future, that is why we have established, I should say reestablished, the Mayor's Youth Leadership Council this month, which will bring together a group of 25 Indianapolis teens to provide insight and guidance on community issues. Thanks to the Lilly Endowment, the Indianapolis Foundation, Leadership Indianapolis, and the Marion County Commission on Youth, our community continues its legacy of providing meaningful opportunities for Indianapolis teens to ensure that they have the tools that they need to be our city's next generation of civic leaders. And you will be. And you will be. Finally, in discussing the engagement of our youth and how important it is, I'd be remiss to not highlight the Creating Curious Minds program, which helps young families grow together by sending every single child born at Eskenazi Hospital home with books. So let me say thank you to the co-founder of that program, who is here with us tonight. I'm biased. My wonderful wife, Steph Hogsett. There is perhaps no greater place to look when we talk about the strength of our community than our neighborhoods. This administration vowed to prioritize neighborhood investment, and that began 2 years ago when we ended a decades-long moratorium on streetlights. And after renegotiating our city's relationship with the Indianapolis Power and Light Company over the past year, we are set to begin this week retrofitting all of our existing streetlights with new LED technology, and this will help us realize enough savings to add thousands of necessary streetlights all over Indianapolis's darkened neighborhoods. Last year, I vowed to rebuild, restore, or demolish 2,000 abandoned homes over the ensuing 2 years. And 1 year later, I stand before you, proud to announce that we've already impacted more than 1,500 homes as of today. Later this week, we will celebrate new projects and roll out a resident-friendly dashboard that will allow our neighborhoods to track their own progress. Neighborhood progress in real time. Neighborhood investment also means helping to ensure that our environment remains an ideal place to live and to raise families. Last month, the city's Office of Sustainability and IUPUI partnered to host the first ever Indianapolis Sustainability Summit, which encourages community-wide collaboration to promote the sustainability of our great city. The summit helped to kick off the It's My City Year of Green, which will see thousands of trees planted throughout our community with tremendous help from Keep Indianapolis Beautiful. This includes nearly 1,500 new trees to be planted by our Parks and Recreation Department in 2018. Still, we know that we cannot do it alone. That is why, as you leave here tonight, volunteers will be passing out seed packets so that you too can participate in the Year of Green in your own neighborhood and in your own backyard. Even as our nation has found itself overwhelmed by divisive rhetoric and partisan gridlock, our city's continued commitment to unity has allowed progress to drive our city forward. Last year, at the State of the City address, I made the point that our City County Council, though closely divided in a partisan way, had passed 92% of their proposals with at least a 2/3 majority. This past year, they actually improved those numbers, with 97% passing with a 2/3 majority and 89% passing unanimously. My friends, Indianapolis is strong because Indianapolis stands together. Indeed, all throughout the city of Indianapolis, we are working to usher in a brighter future for all of our neighbors. But the state of Indianapolis is not perfect, especially when the roads that brought you here tonight show the damage of decades-long underfunding of our infrastructure. And the state of Indianapolis is not perfect when, on a cold spring night, a stray bullet takes the life of a 1-year-old baby girl. But true to our city's heritage, when confronted with a challenge, we do not ignore or hide from it. We address it meaningfully and together. Tonight, I am immensely proud to report that after 2 years of re-equipping and investing in our police department, beginning this very evening, Indianapolis will be able to, for the very first time in a decade, fully utilize community-based beat policing. Tonight, when officers report for the shift, they will be dispatched to one of 78 beats throughout Marion County. This comprehensive return to beat policing allows us to continue in our effort to stem the tide of violence that began to rise following the abandonment of beat policing in our county in 2012. And with each additional class of officers, as we grow IMPD's force, we will be able to break up many of the larger areas into smaller and smaller beats, which will improve response time, facilitate fostering trust between police and community, and further localize our ongoing efforts to reform our criminal justice system. Tonight, I am honored to be joined by the 15th IMPD recruit class, who on May 5th will receive their permanent assignments and hit the streets. Will you join me in giving them a round of applause, and will our IMPD recruit class please rise and be acknowledged? This recruit class will be the first in years to be assigned to a neighborhood rather than a zone. They will know their chief responsibility will be to protect and serve people, not a section of real estate. They will bravely accept these challenges, committed to the belief that every neighborhood in our city should know its police officer, and every police officer should know his or her neighborhood. We also have been working across public safety agencies with the help of our county's Information Services Agency to replace 20-year-old technology and upgrade the capabilities of our 911 dispatch. This is allowing IMPD officers to spend more time out of their car and in the community, and less time managing antiquated, disparate systems. And to further assist our officers in the community, we will be evaluating and updating all existing on-street cameras in critical areas throughout our city, with a comprehensive plan to upgrade those cameras and expand the network by year's end. But our work does not end there. A deafening silence continues to shroud acts of violence in our community. That is why this year we announced that our public safety partners would work together to implement a witness protection program in partnership with the City County Council and Marion County Prosecutor Terry Curry. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are now available to help ensure our prosecutors and our police officers that they have the tools necessary to offer a much-needed lifeline to those who find themselves in need. And we must also strike at the root causes of the violence. Indianapolis, like so many areas throughout our country, has fallen victim to an opioid epidemic that has taken lives. It has broken homes. That is why in August of last year, we launched Mobile Crisis Assistance Teams, a pilot program made up of a police officer, a paramedic, and a licensed mental health clinician to provide an integrated response to substance abuse and mental health issues in IMPD's East District. What this has done is enabled our police officers to get back to protecting and serving, while the MCAT teams address mental health crises by offering a helping hand for treatment when possible. Rather than relying on handcuffs, we continue to pivot toward a justice system that disrupts the addiction to arrest pipeline. And we are working to ensure the steps we take to address our mental health challenges are in line with national best practices. As Indianapolis has been selected by the National League of Cities to participate in an effort focused on young adults and the justice system. Thank you, Counselor Maggie Lewis, for your work in that effort. But our efforts to make the streets of Indianapolis more secure would be inadequate if we did not equally address our aging infrastructure that has eroded our streets to the point of crisis. That is why, effective tomorrow, construction season will open in the city of Indianapolis, with $88 million in additional dollars hitting the streets to resurface and repair our roads and bridges. And sure, that's okay. And over the next 4 years, $500 million will be invested in our city's infrastructure, with dramatic improvements slated in our transportation and our stormwater assets. Even as we celebrate these investments, we continue to seek ways to stretch tax dollars farther and to embrace creative ideas to bring more projects into our neighborhoods. This year, those efforts took the form of a newly created Indy Neighborhood Infrastructure Partnership, which seeks collaborations with neighborhood and community groups to catalyze projects that otherwise would not be possible. And tonight, I'm proud to announce that through these partnerships, we will be nearly doubling the effective value of these tax dollars to help fund 15 project proposals submitted by a variety of organizations throughout our community. This means new multi-use paths in Decatur Township. This means new sidewalks around the Edna Martin Christian Center, a multimodal path and pedestrian bridge in the Riverside neighborhood in partnership with Marian University, street resurfacing in Pike Township, and road maintenance in Park Fletcher, to name just a few. But we cannot deny that a major part of the infrastructure problem was induced by a winter season that saw temperatures go well below zero in January, actually 13 below on the 2nd of January, and as high as 78 degrees in February, actually the 23rd of February. Bringing a roller coaster of repeated freezes and thaws that ate away at our roads day after day. And while we cannot change the past, we can take the necessary measures for the coming winters. The truth is this: over the last 3 decades, garages have been closed, equipment has been left unrepaired, and staff has been cut. And this winter, I shared the frustration of many residents who asked why the city was forced to privately contract for even the most basic of preventative maintenance and road resurfacing activities. The end result is a street maintenance division that for years hasn't represented what our city needs, and certainly hasn't had the tools or staff to provide the level of service that our citizens deserve. So beginning tonight, the era of ignoring our roads and streets is over, and a new age of investment and innovation is at hand. Tonight, I am announcing a multi-year plan to re-equip the city's long underfunded street maintenance division, not with more bureaucracy, but with more equipment and more workers who will wake up each day knowing that it is their job to make sure that Indianapolis's streets are safe and drivable. In that regard, within 60 days, I will submit to the City County Council a plan to invest millions in equipment and staff to reestablish our street maintenance division as a real force that can be deployed on our city streets just as we would snow plows and garbage trucks. This will include dozens of new pieces of equipment, and most importantly, thanks to the Council's partnership in balancing the 2018 budget, I believe these investments will be made without requiring any new taxes or cutting of any other government services. Whether it be public safety or whether it be street maintenance, we as a community cannot be afraid of change. Indeed, I believe that it's time that we changed local government itself. We've already started that process by reforming our system of criminal justice, but our Community Justice Campus project isn't just about a new beginning for a criminal justice system. It's about the end of an outdated, inefficient chapter in our city government history. Tonight, we must look beyond our criminal justice system to the rest of Indianapolis government. To truly make good on our promise to leverage our city's success back into our neighborhoods, we have to grapple with the stubborn fact that City Hall and its many services remain isolated in a tower downtown built in the late 1950s and completed in 1962, when I was 6. And I'm now 61. In an age when you can deposit a check with your smartphone or order your groceries with Alexa, it is unacceptable that even basic government services require residents to drive downtown, to find a place to park, to pay for that parking, so that they can walk through metal detectors to get inside the city-county building and take care of the simplest of city business. That is the way of the past. Now, we lay out our future. And isn't it only fitting that the tech capital of the Midwest should have city services to match, which is why the technology-driven component of our new city government has led to the creation of my.indy.gov. This will quite literally serve as Indianapolis's digital city hall, enabling our residents to have access to city services on their phones. Building upon this technological opportunity, this administration will convene stakeholders to present a series of real estate and operational recommendations to Marion County elected officials and Marion County residents by the end of 2019, which happens to be on the eve of our city's bicentennial year. And while I admit I don't know what those recommendations will be, I can guarantee one thing. These efforts to modernize government will be more efficient, more effective, and will represent a significant savings to Indianapolis taxpayers at a time when we need every available dollar funding key priorities such as infrastructure and public safety. This, my friends, is Indy 3.0. And tonight I am proud that I can stand here and say with great confidence that the era of big local government is over. With the launch of Indy 3.0, we acknowledge that the future of serving Indianapolis residents looks a lot more like an iPhone than it does a 25-story office building. And rather than ignore this reality, it's time to embrace the challenge and make a pledge to all of our taxpayers that we will no longer penalize the present and fight the future by subsidizing the past. Returning to community-based policing. Community-based beat policing. Investing millions of dollars in the equipment necessary to prevent potholes in the first place. Making government smaller, more accessible, less costly. Tonight, we will all leave this room and begin the work of the challenges laid out before us. Counselors, public safety officials, neighbors, residents, and friends. We all have our role to play. We all have an obligation and an opportunity to give back to our city. And there will be those after this evening who will seek to stand in the way of this progress. There always are. Those who believe it is their obligation to obstruct. Those who find opportunity in the politics of division. But that isn't the nature of those in this room, and that certainly isn't the nature of our city. Indianapolis survives because Indianapolis stands together. Indianapolis grows and prospers and thrives because Indianapolis stands together. We know that Indianapolis is at its best when it is building tomorrow with bonds of unity, not when it is focused on the divides of yesterday. Indianapolis, plainly put, looks forward. It never looks back. 200 years ago, we turned a frontier into a city. Now, we bring that city into the future. And today, just like 200 years ago, Indianapolis stands together. And together, the state of our city will always be strong. I thank you.